Hello and welcome to Teccles Cake, the show that's all about talking tech and eating cake. Now this week we're going to be talking all about wearables. Now for quite some time, manufacturers have been intent on strapping, slapping, attaching wearables onto our wrist or body somewhere. And I think 2015 is definitely a big year for
the year of the wearable.
Specifically smartwatches. Now we've got two of the very latest, the Sony SmartWatch 3 and
the LG G Watch R.
Two very, very nice smartwatches, both running the Android Wear operating systems. This is Google's smartwatch flavoured operating system, specifically for smartwatches, in case you didn't get that. Generally, I'm in love with my watch.
Yeah? What do you like about it?
I like the fact they've stuck to the conventional square design. It's got built-in GPS as well, so I don't need to carry my smartphone around with me when I'm going for a run. It will track my runs, and it's got 4 gig of inbuilt storage for music. Good. So that's pretty good. And I think that's what helps this watch stand out from the crowd.
Okay, and what's bad about it?
It's a bit of a dust magnet. This rubber strap loves dust. But the good thing about it is waterproof. You can give it a quick rinse, but I don't want to do that every 2 hours. It's really dusty. I think it can be a little bit buggy sometimes, but I think that's Android Wear in general, not necessarily Sony. But all in all, I think this is one of the top ones. Yeah.
Well, I've actually really enjoyed my last couple of weeks. The main obvious thing is the circular face. That's pretty cool. The screen is really bright. And it's got a heart rate monitor, which is actually quite cool.
This doesn't have a heart rate monitor.
On the downside, not all the apps that are made for this thing, are designed to go on the circular face, so that's quite bad. Sometimes you can see text getting squashed out, and that's quite weird. It doesn't have a micro USB port, which is actually quite annoying. I mean, it comes with a nice little sort of thing. That
annoying cradle.
Yeah, which is cool and makes it easy to charge at night. But if you want to take it anyway, you've got to carry a cradle around rather than plugging in a USB stick.
Unlike this.
Unlike that, which has a USB. Although I think that makes it a bit bulkier. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed, really. I mean, what do you make of them in general? Wearable watches.
I've always been a huge fan of smartwatches. I had one back in there when Sony Ericsson had theirs. They had a line of 3. It was really cool, really basic here. It actually looked like a normal watch, unlike the watches you get now that are like nerd accessories. Had a tiny kind of monochrome screen. If someone would ring, the number would pop up. You could answer it via Bluetooth headset, and if you got a text message, an envelope appeared. That was as basic as it got. But I think back then people weren't ready for smartwatches. But I think now, and this has partly helped by the Pebble smartwatch, I think when that was released, it was kind of probably the most famous Kickstarter project to date. They raised so much money because it was such a gorgeous piece of tech, really. It's the
and it's still up there. It's still, it still comes up with lots of reviews and group tests and stuff like that.
All these Android
does the simple best, maybe.
All these Android Wear smartwatches are coming out of all the bells and whistles, but something as basic as the Pebble.
And it's cheap as well. It's cheap.
Exactly.
For me, I think it's definitely come a long way. I still think they're a glorified notification system, and that annoys me. You can't really, you can swipe and read and stuff, but if you want to go back and open your inbox via email, at WhatsApp, text, you can't do that.
Yeah, that's annoying.
As soon as you swipe it away, you've gone it. Yeah, you need to. Yeah, that's the other thing. 8 times out of 10, you probably need to get your phone out if you can search stuff. But
and reply to messages, but you need to be in quite a quiet environment. You're in a pub, forget it. In public, forget it 100%. For 2 reasons. It's noisy and you look weird.
Yeah, and you look weird. So I think for me, it's definitely a work in progress. They're not cheap either. I mean, this one I think you can get for about 200 quid now.
Yeah, this one's about 170, 80 pounds.
So maybe quite an expensive look at what's to come, but whether that's right for you, for your average consumer at the moment.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Just before we kind of wrap this up, where do you see the future of smartwatches? Because at the minute they're collecting all this information. It's your health information. It's also, Sony in particular does kind of entertainment-based stuff as well. What are we going to do with all this data? Is that the kind of future of smartwatches? For some people, it's not about the hardware, the eye candy. It's about how you're going to interpret that data.
I mean, as a good example, very quickly, is that this has a heart rate monitor, but it doesn't actually do anything. I mean, it tells your heart rate, but that's about it. It doesn't integrate with any of the other software so well. So I think the Apple Watch will be huge when it comes out. It'll be very important for giving the whole sector a huge kick, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's when people might start paying attention. Yeah.
But for me, it's I think we'll leave it for now. Unless you're an early
it's
adopter.
cool. I went to Vegas recently and my flight information popped up on my watch and I thought that was unbelievable. That alone for me,
when it
sold!
When it works, it's awesome and it clicks and you can see the future. But for me, that only happens sort of once, twice in 10. So,
yeah, that's interesting. What do you think at home? Do you think smartwatches are a waste of time? Do you think they're really cool? Do you think they're only for kind of geeks and nerdlingers? Let us know what you think in the comments. Are you a fan of the Sony SmartWatch, maybe the G Watch R, maybe the Pebble, whatever smartwatch you like? We'd love to hear your thoughts. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. And that's it from us.
Thanks for watching.